Hi guys, if you're one of my regular viewers, you'll know that my main camera that I use, the one I'm filming with at the moment, is a Canon PowerShot SX60HS. I've had it for a few years now, and over the years I've bought quite a few replacement batteries for it. And in one of the recent videos I showed you that I actually gave up on these cheap replacement ones and actually bought a genuine Canon one, because of all the batteries that I've got, the original Canon battery is still working fine, and all the replacement ones have died within a matter of months. So I've bought another original, or another genuine Canon one. So that means I've got all of these. This one you can see is puffed up nicely, so obviously not in a very good condition. And somebody was talking about using an external power pack in one of the comments. So I went online and had a look, and you can get an external power supply for this camera. What it does is it's basically a dummy one of these, which you plug into, or at least you stick this inside the camera so it goes in the existing battery slot, and you plug a power supply into the back of it, and then that runs off the mains power. So I wondered if I could make one of those myself. They're 7.4 volts, so a 2S LiPo battery would supply the same voltage. So if I could get one of these apart and solder a lead onto the back end of these tags, then I should be able to use my own external battery supply. First thing I thought I'd do is just see if we can actually measure anything on this one. Let's hope if I can try and do this without putting too much shadow everywhere. That says plus and that says minus. And yeah, we're getting about 6 volts out of this one at the moment. Nothing out of there. 6 volts out of there. Nothing out of there. There. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? That's reversed. So that's now 6 volts coming out of the battery. But if we go one across, it looks like more or less the same 6 volts, but in reverse. Well, I hadn't expected that. Odd. Anyway, on the face of it, plus and minus. So if we can, we'll see if we can get one apart, and then consider whether we can stick something in the back of it. Now this is the one that's all puffed up, so that'll be the ideal one to start with. And then once we know what's inside it, we know whether we can get one of these apart without damaging it. Right. A bit of wood so I don't actually stab through my desk. And obviously there's a seam around the edges. Well, didn't expect it to be that easy. Well, that's almost disappointing, isn't it? There's clearly a circuit board on the end there, and then a couple of LiPo batteries. Is that going to come out? Yeah. Well, how disappointing. I was expecting all sorts of struggle with that. I mean, obviously, just a reminder, it is a LiPo battery or lithium ion battery. So there's potential for it to suddenly erupt into flames. Can we get that? There. Okay, at this end, it looks like both ends are joined together. At this end, we've got 3 tags coming up. You can see those 2 there, and then if I turn it that way, that one there. Okay, at this end, where are we? Can't see because my hand's in the way, and it would help if we turned it on. We're not going to measure very much without turning it on. Okay, so from there to there, 3.69. From there to there, minus 2.3. Yeah, so that one's the positive, that one's the negative, and then that one, I would have thought, oh no, because that's idiot. That there is that there. So we could have done that. From there to there. If we can hold it still. Minus 2.3. That's why it's not working very well, because it's well below the, what's it, about 3.3 is the minimum normally. And that one's 3.6. So on the face of it, I've got a 1S LiPo there that might be recoverable, and one that's completely past it. But if I wanted to put an external lead into here, then I just need to put negative on there and positive on there, and we could make up a little dummy battery with an external supply. Oh well, that was worth looking at, wasn't it? And as I say, potentially one of these is savable. Possibly, maybe. Right, well that's got it apart. That'll probably do for this episode. And I might do a separate episode where I try and rig up what I said, an external supply. Ideally, we just need a JST lead in there, and we can plug in an ordinary LiPo battery. I've just disconnected the tags so we can actually have a little look at this circuit board. So if I just pick up these bits of sticky backed foam, I have no idea if the camera will be able to read the numbers on there. I would expect that will be the normal little charging chips, which I can't remember the numbers of. And if I solder a JST socket on there, I could plug a LiPo in. I don't think I need to worry about that bit. Although I could, if I connected a balance lead on here rather than the normal JST lead, I could plug the balance lead from the battery into there. And that would give it everything it's expecting. That'll do. Right, using my mobile phone to film this. This is my Canon power shot. That's where the battery goes. So that's one of the good batteries. In fact, that's the one I've scratched original on. So that goes in that way round. No, it doesn't. I just... Can we see in there? Yeah, we can see the little tags in there that line up with that. Yeah, so that goes in that way round. And what we've actually got on the edge here is a little bit that flicks out so that you can put a power cable in there. So that's where I could have my modified one in there with a JST lead sticking out of it, and I can plug a LiPo battery in the outside. Do I want to do that? Do I want to risk my good camera in that way? Truth is, it should be absolutely fine. 7.4 volt, so 2S external LiPo, something like that one, 10,000 milliamp hour. Yes, that says 3.7, but there's two of them, so it is a 2S. And that would keep it running for days, well, certainly for hours anyway. What are these? That one was supposed to be 1400 milliamp hours. I doubt whether it ever was. That one says 920. So that one should give me 10 times the time. And they run for about 2 hours on continuous video. So that should give me about 20 hours. In theory. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that, and I'll think about this. Hi guys, just thinking about making my adapter for the batteries on my Canon PowerShot SX60HS. This is the circuit board out at the bottom of one of the batteries, and in fact you can actually look at it. You can see it says P+, P minus, and then we got C and T. I'm guessing T stands for test and C is the center tap or the balance tap between the two cells on the 2S LiPo. Now, I'm pretty confident, but not 100% confident, that the camera itself probably only uses the P plus and the P minus. And it probably doesn't use the C and the T. They are probably for the charger. But, just in case I'm wrong, for my first attempt, I'm going to use, rather than an ordinary JST lead, I'm going to use this balance lead, where the red lead is the positive, the black lead is the negative, and the blue lead is the one that goes to the center tap between the 2S LiPos, or the two cells. So that will be B plus, red, B minus, black, and BC, as that one is labelled, will be the blue one. So I'm going to tin them and put that lead on them. So that way it's still going to be getting exactly the same as it would have been getting from the original two cells that were in the battery. It'll be getting the same information. That's the one that was a bit puffy. I don't know if we can see that. So that's our three leads in place. What I need to do now is sort out some way of making sure this stays. Now, get my fingers out right. Stays at the end of the casing. There are some little tags on the bottom there that should hold it in place, but I was thinking I might put a bit of something up the middle here just to stop it rattling around. So that's my little spacer in there, just a bit of wood. It's actually super glued to that half of the plastic, and then I'll put some sticky tape on it there so I can put the other half on top. So there we go. That is our dummy battery. Right, this got very confusing last night. Had it all nicely wired up, had it all sealed down into a dummy case, and then I came to test it and nothing. Now, I checked all my wiring and all sorts, and nothing would get it going. So I double checked on a good battery. There we go, got the full voltage. I took another one apart, tried it again, because I thought maybe I'd burnt out the little chip on the back of there, and had exactly the same problem. Wired it up, nothing. Unplug it, plug it back in again, nothing. Then I had an idea. This is the proper charger. If I just hold that in place, you'll see the charge light comes on. Take it off again. And there you go. We've got the full voltage. So I think possibly that T tag there is some sort of trigger, and it needs to have had something pass through it to actually get voltage out. So now we're getting the proper voltage out. If I unplug it, plug in another battery, then we'll get nothing again, I think. Yeah, nothing. Stick it in the charger just briefly, just enough to tell it. Oh, that's unfortunate, I've just broken the balance lead off, but let's see if we still get voltage out of it. Yeah. So there's something in the charger that's probably sending a signal into there, I've no idea, but that's telling the chip to turn on, so it works. So that's all a bit confusing, but it's not burnt out, it's doing some sort of self-check, and it needs to have had a voltage pumped into it for it to start working in the reverse way. Hope that makes some sort of sense. So yeah, one of those things there, one of those chips needs to have some voltage pass through it in the charging direction for it to switch on and allow voltage to pass through in the discharge direction. Very confusing. And obviously these wires are a little bit iffy because that one's broken. Okay, so I'll reassemble the other one of those, the dummy one I made up, and then if we put it in the charger briefly, it will work. Or we just do away with all of that and we just bridge the contacts until we get a direct path from the B- to the P- and the B+ to the P+, and bypass all that electronics anyway. The reason I'm leaving it in there is I'm guessing there's some sort of protection circuit in there, which is a good idea to protect my camera. Right, back to my dummy battery. So if I plug that in there, go on there, we have nothing. Briefly stick it in there, so it says it's charging. Pull it out again. Go on there, and we got the full voltage. So that caused me a lot of heartache overnight trying to figure out what had gone wrong. And there's some trigger in there to tell it to allow it to discharge. Well, we learn something every day. Whether I actually want to use this on my camera or not, I'm not quite sure. But there we go, that's an external battery. What I need to do is try and find out what it is I need to do to those tags to tell it that it can discharge. Whether it's as simple as just applying some power, I don't know. But that is now working. What I did notice as a complete side issue, these are the two cells out of the one that was supposed to be 1400 milliamp hours, and they've got a big spacer in between them. This is the two cells out of the one that's only 920 milliamp hours. These are much thicker batteries. I mean, maybe they're less densely packed, but it does rather give you the impression that perhaps these aren't as powerful as they're supposed to be, written on the outside of the pack. Same length, but significantly thinner. Hi guys, these are the insides, or the cells, out of two of the batteries for my Canon PowerShot camera. They're already puffed, so they've had problems. That one's supposed to be 1400 milliamp hours, and that one's supposed to be 940 milliamp hours. I've measured the voltage, they're nothing like fully charged, but I'm just going to take them outside and short out the terminals and see what happens. I forgot to mention, it's night time, so it's dark out here, but it might help us see if there's any little sparks or flames. So let's try this one. Ooh, we had a spark. But that was it. Give it a bit of time. Nothing much happening. Doesn't even feel warm. Let's try the other one. This is the one that was puffed up, or puffed up the most. Pretty disappointing, really. This is just for the benefit of those people who saw they were puffed in the earlier videos where I was taking them apart and were worried they were instantly going to burst into flames. Oh, that's me light gone out. Hang on. It's a motion sensor light. Well, yeah, we're not bursting into flames. We did have a little bit of a spark from the other one. Briefly. Yeah, just getting a tiny bit of a spark. Well, there's a little bit of warmth in it. But I'm afraid that's it. No exciting explosion. Thanks for watching. If you like that, then you might like this. And if you like this and that, you might like to subscribe over there.